resellers and thrifters. This is Carrie from Be Carried Away, and I have my first true what sold video. So I went back a little bit. I picked March 21st through March 27th, and I have my computer here, and I'm going to go through all of those sales, the good, the bad, the little ones, the big ones, both on eBay and Poshmark. So I'm going to do eBay first. These are eBay sales that sold between March 21st, which is Sunday, and March 27th, which is Saturday. So through the end of Saturday night, that entire week. So I'm just going to go through all of them here. So my first item that I sold was a 1980s sweater dress. So I do specialize in vintage. This had a banded hem. This was a really cool aqua blue color. I got this for $2.99 at the Salvation Army that I go to. And it was a sweater dress with mock neck. I called it turquoise teal, banded hem, and it had embroidery on it. So I sold that for $20, and I got that for $2.99. So I think I had hoped that that would go for a little bit more, but because it was coming up on spring, I thought it was good to let it go for best offer of $20. All of these items are from the exact same Salvation Army, bought over time, but I have one only 6 miles from my house, so I'm able to go almost daily. I don't always go every day, but you know, if I'm doing errands, if I'm downtown, if I'm driving by, I'll definitely stop and swing in. And I really like going to the same thrift store over and over again. I think it does help me in terms of finding gems, because I'm not walking in and just overwhelmed with all brand new stuff. I do recognize things that I saw the week before, the day before, and so that is my priority. I do like to go to the same place over and over to get a real sense of what's there. So the next item is this really pretty Sigrid Olsen chunky wool blend pink sweater. Sigrid Olsen is definitely a brand that a lot of people seek out. In fact, the buyer of this sweater told me, you know, I love her stuff. And so she was looking particularly for Sigrid Olsen. So this went for $29.99. Now you'll see in the, I think I paid probably either $2 or $3.99 for that. You'll see in the title, I have the word cottagecore in there. Cottagecore is a great word to put in your title. It's a great keyword, and it comes from the cottagecore aesthetic. So the younger generation, the TikTok generation has come up with these aesthetics, which are lifestyle terms, lifestyle styles of not just clothing, but clothing and hobbies. And so someone who's into cottagecore, it's that idealistic cottage lifestyle. So gardening, canning, flowers, growing gardens, and things like that. So cottagecore is a great term to put in for anything that's flowery and light and has that summery cottage look. So because of the colors of this, I did think that was a good keyword for that listing. Next up, I sold these Polo Ralph Lauren sander leather caramel colored boat shoes. I sold those for $24.99, and I got those very inexpensively. They were 99 cents. They weren't in perfect condition, but they're Ralph Lauren, they're boat shoes, and so I knew that they would sell, and I picked them up and sold them for $24.99. The next item is this really great McCoy Cookie House English Cottage cookie jar. I got this with a group of cookie jars at my Salvation Army. There were 4 of them, and I've sold 3 of them so far. I paid $3.99 for this, so just an unbelievable buy. I mean, I went swooping over to the aisle when I saw all those cookie jars, and sure enough, a couple of them were McCoy, a couple of them were vintage. So this is called the Cookie House, which is that English country cottage house, and I sold it for $74.99. Buyer paid shipping. I think almost all of these, the buyer paid shipping. I very rarely do free shipping, and if I do free shipping, it's probably because there's a lot of them, a lot of the particular item for sale, and other people are doing free shipping, so I'll sometimes do that. Next, I sold this cat, this plush. It was sort of a plush. It didn't have the plushy fur, but it was a stuffed animal, really, and it was a primitive grungy. And I found that term grungy just by researching. It had this kind of like cute but ugly sort of, you know, misshapen look to it. And it was a green cat doll, more of a doll than a plush. And I sold that for $22.99 and I got it for $1.99. So this is something that I'm trying to get into a little bit. Plush is big. I don't know a lot about plush, but I have been looking at the stuffed animals and things like that. And I've sold a few, not anything fantastic, no great big prices, but I'm happy with finding them, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, next, this was $2.99 at my Salvation Army. This is a vintage linen men's sport jacket by Enzo Toware. Had the size in there, 44 long, and I sold this for $48. So that's a really good sale. That did go overseas. I'm not sure which country, but okay, next I have a Lilly Pulitzer. I don't always pick up Lilly Pulitzer. She's a very popular brand with summery spring colors and things like that. So I'm pretty particular about which Lilly Pulitzer that I pick up. But this was in beautiful condition, just a very classic turquoise blue cable knit long sleeve sweater. And I sold it very quickly just for $22.99, but it sold within a week. Next, next I have this Amanda Smith pure wool jacket. This is a blazer. It was black and gray, and I really looked at this more on style. I thought it was a really pretty kind of just pattern on it, and it caught my eye. I don't pick up Amanda Smith, but it was definitely vintage, and it was also a size 14, so it was plus size, and I knew that it would sell eventually. It did take a while, but I sold that for $23.99. Okay, next, I'm scrolling up on my computer here. Okay, next I sold Vera Bradley. I do pick up Vera Bradley. I know a lot of people don't. I find that it sells pretty well if you get it for a good price. Obviously, if you're paying up, don't pay up for Vera Bradley unless it's a brand new style. This was an older backpack. It was not in perfect condition. I had a little bit of scraping on the bottom, which I did disclose obviously in the listing, but it sold within just a couple of months or so. This was called the Very Berry Paisley laptop bag, the campus backpack. It's the classic backpack, and it sold for $38, so that's a good price. I paid $3.99 for that. I always pay $3.99 for backpacks at the thrift store that I go to. It's very important with Vera Bradley, I believe, to look up the actual style name, because people do search for the style name, but it's super simple. Vera Bradley has a website that you can look up past patterns. You can kind of just scroll through and look. For me, I think the simplest thing now these days is to use Google image search. Google image search is really good with finding Vera Bradley patterns pretty quickly. So that was a good pickup for me at $3.99, going for $38. Buyer pays shipping. That's, you know, a bread. Okay, next was this Talbots Irish linen blazer. This is a women's blazer. It was brand new with tags, so that's always something I'm going to look at. It was $134 MSRP, manufacturer suggested retail price, and the color was great, the size was great. It was a plus size 24W, and best of all, it was Irish linen. So an Irish linen blazer from Talbots in a plus size in a really beautiful pink color. New with tags. I paid $3.99, and then I sold it for $34.99 plus buyer paid shipping. I do really well with Talbots. I have the Talbots store in my area, and I do well with it. Next, this was a great sale. This is a $100 plus sale, a new with tags vintage, which is called new old stock. So if you see those letters NOS, that stands for new old stock. So it's old vintage or it's store stock with the tags, but it's brand new. This was a J. Crew, the old oarsman. That's another thing to look for. The older vintage J. Crew tags have a picture of a guy standing there with an oar. So a keyword, a tag word that you can put in there is oarsman for that, for vintage J. Crew. And this was that brick red chore coat, barn coat. It was a men's tall. It was from the 1980s. So a men's tall is gonna, you know, it's a more narrow group of people looking for those, but it's also harder to find, so you know that that's going to sell. That sat for a while. I think that took about 6 months to sell. I had an offer for that over on Poshmark for $80 that I turned down. I kind of was wondering if I regretted it, you know, a couple months later when it still hadn't sold. I was like, oh, you know, should I have taken that $80? But I held out. You know, I'm a long tail seller, so I held out for my price. I felt that it was a good price, and I sold it for $119. And I got a really awesome note back from the buyer who just absolutely loved it. So sometimes it's worth holding out, but you know, it's always a guess. It's always a guessing game in terms of should I take that offer or not. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So okay, next I have another pair of Talbots. These are shoes. These were $79. The style was Francesca. They were black kid suede. Talbots makes these in tons of colors. They're just their standard black flat loafers, driving shoes, and I sold those for $39.99. They were in absolutely new condition. They did not have tags or a box, but they looked like they had just really been tried on. Okay, next, this is one of my favorite sales. This is really true vintage, and this is where I just find something like this and just fall in love with it. This was hard not to keep, but this was blue velvet, a beaded chenille and blue velvet clutch purse, and it's just absolutely cool pattern. I'm not even sure it's the pattern. I mean, it could be Art Nouveau, it could be kind of Art Deco. There's a lot of it had this kind of modernist look to it. So the keywords that I used were kiss lock, because it had the kiss lock latch. Lots of people look for those. Those are popular. It was a clutch. It was a tapestry. So it was a tapestry, beaded chenille, velvet, blue velvet clutch purse. And I sold that for $39.99, and I got that for $1.99. So that was a great sale. I probably could have held out for a little bit more on that, but I thought $40 was a good profit. And again, the buyer who got it just absolutely fell in love with it like I did. So that's a good thing. Okay, next. This two-piece merino wool sweater cardigan set was this really pretty, not orange, I'm not thinking of the term, kind of a chilly burnt orange color. It was a two-piece sweater set in merino wool, and I probably should have held out for more. The buyer messaged me and said, can you please sell it to me for this price? And I gave in, right? So I sold it for $22, and I think I was only asking $34 to begin with. So I did take a best offer on that, and I sold that for $22 plus buyer pays shipping. Okay, next, this was a really quick sale. This was Calvin Klein. Don't always pick up Calvin Klein. You have to be really particular about what you pick up. But this was just a gorgeous wrap dress, really modern in style, on point style-wise. Absolutely beautiful condition. This was a size 4 deep v-neck wrap and sleeveless dress. Super cute. The buyer really loved it, although when she did get it, she said the color was a little bit different than she had expected. So I do take all of my photos outdoors in the sunlight. So it was just an odd color. It really was. So I agreed with her, and I offered her a refund, but she decided that she just loved it anyway and kept it. So you know, honesty is always the best policy. It was called a gray slate blue, and I do have them both in the title. Calvin Klein called it a slate blue, but it really looked more like just a standard gray in certain colors and certain sunlights. And when I took it outside, I think it picked up more of the blue than the gray. So that is something to look at. Always kind of, you know, check over your photos, compare it with the item, and make sure that, you know, you're getting the color in there. So correctly, anyway. Okay, the next item was this multicolor hoodie, this women's boho, kind of a patchwork look hoodie. These are currently being sold on different websites. It's got that festival look to it. So I was able to find this for sale in lots of places online. So that's where I got my price from. I underpriced it based on, you know, I think they were mostly going for $39.99. There were lots of them out there, so just in order to get mine sold, I priced it at $26.99. It was in really good, almost brand new condition, so I thought that was a fair price. But because there were so many available in other places, I decided to undercut the price pretty well, and that strategy paid off, and I was able to sell it for that price. I think I paid $2.99 for that. The next item sat for a while. I eventually sold this brown leather retro 70s long trench coat, woman's leather coat, for $55, and I paid up for that. I think I paid $12.99 for that trench coat, and I sold it for $55, so that's a pretty good sale. Leather 70s and 80s coats, 60s even coats, they definitely do sell, but you really have to be a long tail seller to sell them. They take a lot longer than some other items. They're popular with certain people. They're not a trend necessarily anymore. They were for a while. Men's leather coats for a while were really popular, based on the movie Fight Club, which was with Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. When that movie came out, men's leather retro vintage coats went crazy on the secondary vintage market, and so but that obviously has waned. That's been many years, and there's a certain kind of person that's going to look for this kind of really retro vintage coat. So I was happy with the sale, but just a word of warning: if you're going to get leather jackets like that, retro leather jackets, just expect them to sit for a little bit. The next was this Woolrich cotton corduroy full zip jacket. This was the wide Wale. So the term for corduroy stripes are called the Wale, W-A-L-E. And this is wide Wale, so the real thick corduroy. And this went overseas, I believe, to Spain. It was cherry red, and it was a plus size 2X. So it had all the hallmarks. You know, Woolrich does well for me. It was a plus size. It was in great condition. I paid $2 for it, and I sold it for $24.99. Okay. Next was this Wrangler flannel pearl snap jacket. So this was a Western Rancher shirt, I called it. It was large, it was red, it was just your basic flannel, but it was the pearl snap. So the pearl snaps are popular with both men and women, and that will be a flannel that I will pick up. I don't pick up a lot of flannels, but if it has pearl snaps and it's in good condition, I will pick it up. I paid $2 for that, and I sold that for $22.99 plus shipping. Okay, next is this these Italian booties. These were just kind of unusual. I've never seen anything like them. I did find actually comps for them though. You know, the internet is an amazing place. You can find the most crazy stuff that you just never, these look like one-offs, but you will find them. The brand was called Next Accessory. They were made in Italy, so Italian leather, Italian suede actually. And they had that kind of granny boot look, ethnic look. They looked like something you might wear for, you know, ethnic dancing, something like that. So those were some of the keywords I put in, and I purchased those for $3.99, and I sold them for $28.99 plus shipping. Also got a really nice feedback on the person who bought those, so that's always you know, gratifying to see that other people like it. Okay, next few on eBay that sold that week. This Lucky Brand Western shirt, again, pearl snap, same thing. Don't always pick up Lucky Brand, but this was really nice Lucky Brand shirt, a men's long sleeve army green color, which is popular, and it had the pearl snap. It was in excellent condition, and it was an XXL. Again, has checkbox, right? $35.99 I sold it for. I bought it for $2.99, and plus the buyer paid shipping, so that's a great bread and butter sale. The next item, also purchased at the same Salvation Army, on the wall of photos. I do always look at prints, and this was a really nice vintage print. It was framed. The frame wasn't vintage. It was in like a you know, those silver metal frames, but it was really nicely matted, so it almost looked like they had purchased it at a museum store or something like that. And it was hand colored, a poem. It's called Old Woman of the Road. And I sold that for $40. I paid $2.99 for that, and the buyer paid shipping. And the last item that I sold that week, the week of March 21st through the 27th on eBay, was this really awesome retro 1960s dress. It was white with this lime green stripes in it. It was really lightweight cotton, just really delicate. It was plus size for vintage, that's a great thing as well, and it was dead stock or new old stock, so those terms are interchangeable. Dead stock takes up a lot of letters in your title, so sometimes I won't put dead stock if I have lots of other things I want to put in the title. I'll do new old stock, which you can shorten as NOS. But if you have the space in your title line, you can put in dead stock, new old stock, or NOS. So it had the tags on it, the original tags, and it was a true 1960s retro dress. Sundress, sleeveless, and I also put the keyword rockabilly in there. It had that real fun kind of dancing rockabilly look to it. So I sold that for $48.99 plus shipping, and the buyer was super excited to get that as well. So those are my eBay sales. Now I'm going to go over to look at my Poshmark sales for that same week. 17 sales on Poshmark the same week, and I'm just going to whip through them really quick. The first one was a great brand to pick up. This is Allbirds. These are those wool shoes, sneakers. They're called runners. These were the tree skippers. So this is another brand that you can easily look up the style just by sort of Googling or Google image searching. So those sold for $30, and I got those for $2.99 at the same Salvation Army. The next was this Peppermint Bay beach cover-up. Not something I would pick up again. This I picked up when I first started doing clothes, and I picked up on style alone. It's really cool. It just doesn't have much of a resale value, so it only sold for $14. I got that for $2. Next is Michael Kors. Now Michael Kors is tricky also. I don't always pick up Michael Kors. It's just oversaturated. Everybody loves Michael Kors, but there's a lot of it out there. This was a coat, so coats go well. This was a hooded quilted coat that I paid only $4.99 for, and this went for $74 on Poshmark. Next is something that I absolutely love. This is right up my alley when I find this kind of vintage dress. This was a 50s or 60s polyester shirt dress in pink and white. Absolutely excellent condition. That nice stretchy polyester with a really, straight out of the 1960s. It looks like something straight out of Dirty Dancing. And I sold that for $35. And next was this Toware Merino. Again, Taware's another one of those brands. I generally do pick up Toware if it's something unique, interesting, different, and if I get it for a good price. This is a log and look wool vest, and I sold it for $25. Now in this one you'll see that I have the term dark academia as a keyword. Again, that's one of the aesthetics, these TikTok aesthetics, and you can look these up. A lot of people are doing YouTube videos on what are these TikTok aesthetics, but this is an aesthetic that is popular and has that sort of fall going back to school vibe. Dark academia just means darker colors, browns and blacks, all neutrals, vests, wool, checks, and that sort of stuff. So I did put that in the title. It had both of those looks, Lagen look, the German term for a very layered look, and also dark academia. It was just a plain, really cool, but very plain grayish black vest, and so there's lots and lots of those out there. So how are you going to distinguish the one that you have from all of these others? And of course it's with these kinds of keywords. Next are these just basic Levi's jeans, but these were vintage. This was a great find, I thought, and they were high-waisted, the mom jeans, and they were the shorts, and they were in a size 14. So these sold within, I think, 2 or 3 days. I got $35 for them, and I paid $2.99. Okay, next, this was, I'm gonna use a term from Lori Tata, Lori's Boston Found channel. She says, "Bye Felicia" to some of her items. This, I absolutely loved this. Again, it was something that I picked up on style, and I don't do that anymore. I don't pick up on style. I pick up on brand, on age, on other sorts of things, not just because it's cool or pretty, because it took a year and 6 months, maybe a year and a half to sell for $22. So I made money on it. You know, I didn't lose any money. I paid probably the $2.99 for it. I don't even remember, but it was this really pretty embellished jean jacket. I did put in cottage core, floral. It almost had Johnny Was sorts of vibes to it, but you know, it took a long time to find the right buyer. Next were these Enzo Angiolini boots. These were espresso brown riding boots, and they were, you know, kind of your basic brown boots, but they were in really good condition, and so I was able to turn $4.99 into $60 on those, so that's a great find. Next, not a good find. Again, something I picked up really early on. Now this is vintage. I might still pick this up because I would have thought it would have gone for more. It had that secretary look, the geek look, that dress look. I got an offer for $10 on this, and I just wanted to move it, and I just sold it. So I probably made $2 or $3 on it, but you know, sometimes you just want to move things out of your closet if they've been sitting there for a while, and that's what I did with that dress. Next are these saddle shoes. These were super cool. Excellent condition, brand new, never worn. I did look up this company, Willits, W-I-L-L-I-T-S. Willits are known for their saddle shoes, and so I priced them at $30, and they sold pretty quickly. I don't know that I recommend picking up all saddle shoes, but you know, if you find something absolutely in great condition, great price, you probably will turn a profit on it. Next was this BCBG Max Azria bandage dress. Bandage meaning it's kind of a tight wrap. I do not always pick up BCBG. Again, it has to be something special or unique. This was a really expensive dress that originally sold for $348, so I think I paid $6.99 for this, so to me that's a pickup. It took a long time to sell. I think primarily during the pandemic, not a lot of, you know, party dresses, elegant going out dresses, they just weren't selling. People weren't doing anything. We were all in lockdown, and so this sold finally in March for $44, so I made a good profit on that. Next, Harley Davidson sweatshirt. This was a unique one. It had more of a kind of an athletic look to it rather than the kind of the biker look, and it was gray with green. It sold for $34, and I think I paid $2 for that. Next, really pretty 1960s gold purse. This was a clutch purse with a little bit of a handle on it. Didn't get a lot for that. There were kind of, you know, there's a lot of those kind of purses out there. This particular sparkle stuff stays in really good condition, and so I sold that for $18. So I did make a profit, nothing spectacular. Next, a pair of Sperry topsiders, boat shoes. I picked these up because of the color. So again, not something I pick up all the time. They were a really pretty aqua turquoise blue color. So anything unique, different, something that stands out, those are the kinds of things I'll pick up even if it's not, you know, a brand that's a no-brainer. But I do like Sperry, and I think I paid $4.99 for those and sold them for $35. Next, I sold this really, really beautiful jeweled cross company, which is a very famous company. I learned, you know, by Google searching it, crucifix, and this was brand new in the box. I have two of them, so I bought them each for $1.99. I sold this one for $28 on Poshmark, and I still have the other one to sell, but they're in gorgeous condition. Next is this Louis Garneau cycling jersey. This is a famous brand of cycling jerseys, and this is a Mexico symbol, so a Mexican bicycling cycling jersey, and I sold that for $25. I paid 99 cents for that. You know, that's not something that necessarily would go quickly in my thrift store, so it sat around in the thrift store for a while, and on 99 cents a day it was still there, so I picked it up and I sold it for $25. Lastly, on Poshmark was this really gorgeous Joseph Ribkoff sleeveless halter neck, that's the word I was looking for, halter neck blouse, but it had a ruffle down the front, really pretty, and little tiny teeny studs, so just very elegant but yet understated. And this had the tags on it. This was brand new with tags, and it was a $159 blouse, and I sold that for $25 on Poshmark. again, that was something that sat for a while because it's in that, you know, elegant evening wear kind of thing that hasn't been selling much on Poshmark. But and my guess is that it's starting to pick up. I'm seeing a few more sales like that, and so I'll probably start picking up things like that again. Okay, so I also had 2 sales on other platforms. I've just recently started cross-listing to Mercari and a little bit to Facebook Marketplace. I haven't got up to full speed with that yet, but I did have 2 sales during the week of 3/21 to 3/27. First was this pair of clogs, these Sanita clogs, which were absolutely in beautiful condition, like new, and they sold for $70 on Mercari. And the last sale would be this tapestry rug. I paid up for this. I paid, and I paid $5.99 for the Sanita clogs at my thrift store, also the Salvation Army. So next was on Facebook. I did have one ship sale. That means I shipped it. It wasn't a pickup on Facebook Marketplace. And that was this really pretty Italian Lake Como scene. Can you tell I'm from New York? Lake Como in Italy scene of a portico looking out over the lake. So this really ornate sort of scene, and I purchased that for $9.99, and I did sell that for $40 or $44. I honestly can't remember, and my computer ran out of juice, so that was $40 or $44 on Facebook Marketplace. So those were my sales for that week. Again, watching what sold videos are really important for me in terms of figuring out what to look for. You know, just I'll put them on when I am doing other things and just sort of, you know, take in what's out there, what it's selling for, what the prices are. It's a great learning tool, and so I hope to offer more of those to you and do them regularly. So thank you so much for watching my channel. I hope you like and subscribe if this is the kind of content that you like, and happy thrifting, everybody.